It's Thirsty Leo season! Did you drink water today?
We know it's not August, but wherever we are,
it's always Leo season.
This is Colleen.
And this is Eileen.
And we are the Thirsty Leos.
But don't worry, this podcast isn't just about us being Leos.
Although it is what brought us together in a faraway country.
Our podcast is about
anime,
thirst,
creating content,
being Asian American women,
and just surviving through life.
First episode of It's Thirsty Leo season podcast. Welcome, everybody.
Welcome.
I just want to say I'm a little nervous coming into this. Eileen, how do you feel?
I'm fine. Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm so prepared. No, I'm excited and I'm nervous. Which is like the best combination.
It really is.
Yeah. First, let's say who we are. Hi guys, I'm Eileen and I'm from Hawaii.
Oh, I'm Colleen and I'm from LA. We actually met in Taiwan. That is where our friendship started.
Yeah, so we met in Taiwan, and for those listening right now, Colleen is actually in Taiwan, and I'm back here home in Hawaii. So we're actually around 5,000 miles away from each other. This right now is literally a Discord call. We're just recording a Discord call. This is a pandemic, long-distance best friend podcast. So lots of stuff there. Yeah.
Lots of planning and lots of preparation went into this because honestly, I'm going to be honest, I never ever imagined myself doing a podcast at all. Like every time I'm like, oh my gosh, like how do people do it? Like I think they're so amazing for just talking like through this channel and stuff, like through a podcast. But when I met Eileen, like something clicked and I was like, this is the type of girl that I want to start a podcast with. That is how Thirsty Leo season birthed itself. Just our friendship that has continued to blossom throughout the months that we've known each other. And I'm just really excited to be doing this because like Eileen said, this is a best friend podcast. We're just here to talk about life and we're going to get more into that later.
Absolutely. But first, that was lovely. That was gorgeous. Let's dive a little bit deeper into the two people on this podcast. Let me tell you about Colleen.
I'm a little shy right now.
I'm shy. Okay. These are bios that we wrote beforehand and we haven't like shared them with each other yet. So this is the first time. Okay.
I know, we're nervous.
You were very nervous. The beautiful and amazing woman on the other end of this call is none other than Colleen, one of the best people I've ever met and someone I'm blessed to call my friend. I can't imagine the amount of yuan I've had to accumulate over lifetimes to meet her. One chance meeting, one karaoke night, one magical duet together has led to some of the best, most unforgettable and meaning moments, laughs, and nights I could have ever imagined. And now, we have our own podcast. Colleen is a warm, kind, bright, hilarious soul who shares her journeys, travels, and struggles on being a creative online, especially on YouTube on her Adventures with Coco channel, where she shares where she shares vlogs of her travels with the most aesthetic of vibes and makes me want to drink boba all day, every day, and especially with her. Knowing her is a joy. Being with her is an endless party. And starting this podcast with her is a dream that I'm so happy is happening. Everyone, make way for Colleen, my Leo queen. Ow, 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 ow.
Let me pull up. Oh my gosh. That was really like, there were times where I was like gonna like cry, you know?
Oh my God.
Yeah, like I was like, oh my God, is this a love letter to me?
It is. Yeah. We gotta start this off on the right foot. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So now I think it's my turn to introduce to you the beautiful woman sitting across me. I did write this down because I was really nervous. Like I was like, if I say this on top of my head, like I'm just gonna break down into tears. So I wrote this down so I'm prepared and ready.
Oh my God.
Okay. So the first thing that comes to my mind when I think of Eileen is talented, driven, a best friend, crazy, my number one hype man. I mean, the list goes on. Okay, but these are just some of the top qualities that represent who she is in my life. She is the most talented artist I've ever met. Her creativity and her thirst art is just chef's kiss. The type that will make you feel all sorts of things, if you know what I mean. Okay. Her drivenness in pursuit of her dreams have inspired me in more ways than I can count. And I am already so proud of the woman she is. The world isn't ready for it. The world isn't ready for you, Eileen. Wait, okay, I'm gonna do it one more time. The world, does that make sense?
I love it. Don't edit this out. This is gorgeous.
The world isn't ready for you, Eileen. She is the definition of a best friend. Someone that you know will always be in your corner, who is kind-hearted and so generous. Someone that is always hyping me up 24/7, especially when I feel like I'm at my wit's end. She is so confident in who she is. I mean, her presence and her energy makes those around her feel so comfortable and loved. Eileen has taught me many things in my life, but the one thing I will hold dear to my heart is how she taught me to be myself, just by being herself. Why are you in a corner?
I love you so
I'm not
much.
done.
Oh my god.
I'm not done. There's more. Okay. Okay. I love the energy that Eileen brings out of me when I'm with her. We can literally talk about anything and everything on so many different levels for hours on end. We've only known each other for 7 months, but the bond that we have created through our struggles and our experiences together is stronger than anything in this world. The type of support and love Eileen offers is something that I feel everyone in this world should experience, because everyone deserves a friend like Eileen. And I am so honored and happy that I can walk and experience this life with you, and that this podcast can give people a glimpse of that hope and inspiration you give me every day.
Well, well, folks, we saved the best for last. Yo,
I feel like that was like literally like a confession of love and, for each other.
Yo, Colleen, okay, you know how much I love you. I copy paste
Copy paste.
control paste. Holy moly, when you were saying the thing like I get to walk this life with you, and then like I was like, whoa, like it was a notebook it was like a notebook, it was like a Nicholas Sparks moment for me. I was like, oh my god, I don't think anyone has ever loved me this much in my entire shade on everyone. No, but then it was like with this podcast, I'm like, oh right, yes, we're in a podcast, right? Like
right, you gotta bring it back.
I love you so much. That was everything.
I love you too.
I think that like
these are all words. Oh, sorry.
No, yeah. Oh,
I just want to say these are all words that it took me a while to write this, because I wanted to like, really pour my heart into like how you have inspired me in so many different ways.
my god, I love you.
Love you.
But like literally copy paste though, because like Colleen has inspired me so much too, and like the but like legit, that's why we go so well together. That's why this podcast is happening. That's why we brought ourselves up into this point. And like and for me, I have to like defend my intro. No, it's just I was just like, okay, I just need to no, I just like, okay, I just need to like, I just want to like introduce her to the crowd a little bit. But absolutely everything you're throughout this podcast, I think that you're going to, if you're listening still, thank you, you're gonna see like how we inspire each other and how we keep each other going, and like the different things that we do. Colleen is involved with vlogging and traveling, and she shows a lot about the struggles of being a creator, and I also do different art, and we're both on this uphill battle of creation, and there's so many other themes, kind of like in our intro that we talked about. There's so many things that we want to talk about on this podcast.
Exactly.
So yes, I think we should talk about how we first met.
We should. I think the world should know about this yuan that you talked about. Oh, backtrack a little bit. We will be adding a little bit Chinese in this podcast because
absolutely.
we did meet in Taiwan, just like Eileen said. And this yuan she's talking about is like fate, destiny. Literally, the story of how we met is so crazy to this day. Whenever I think about it, whenever I talk about it, I'm just like, how many lives did we have to save in the past life to meet each other in this life?
Yeah.
You know?
Like lifetimes of like Shangbeizi, right? Of like how many like different lifetimes. Just I know I mentioned that in my intro. Consequently, also my intro, I did give a little preview of what's happening. So I did mention I mentioned a little karaoke, I mentioned a little whatever. Let me, if I may, Colleen, if I may bring our audience into...
Of course, bring them in.
Bring them in
into
the backstory. So, we're going to travel to a time, where...
Close your eyes, please.
Where COVID was happening. That's not too different from what's happening now, but it was first happening back then. I was a fresh graduate. I just graduated college, and I was immigrating to Taiwan. Note that maybe we didn't mention Colleen and I are also both Taiwanese American.
Oh yeah,
which is why we were both there.
Just jumped into it. Yes, both of us are ABTs, ABCs, however you want to say it. Asian American. Taiwanese Americans.
Beautiful.
Right? That's who we are. That's who we are.
And so I was immigrating to Taiwan, and there was a lot of stuff in that, and of course we're going to cover this way more in future episodes, but I was sad, not having a great time. It was a really sucky time. But one thing I was doing a lot, almost every week, was going to the National Immigration Agency because I needed to get my 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 residency card set out.
Right.
And so there was one day where I was biking around, and it was kind of a sad day, but I'm like, you know what? I happen to be kind of close to the agency. I might as well go. It was basically, the highlight is I just wasn't planning on being there that day. When I get there, there's basically like this guy in front of me. And you know, it was like an Asian kid with a backpack, right? But when he went inside, I heard him say 美国护照, which is American passport. And then the lady kind of pointed to some forms. And I'm like, what's it 美国人? Like, so bad. Like, I'm just, like, that's me. He was an ABT or an ABC or whatever. He was a little Asian American kid. I was like, oh my God, I need to be friends with that guy. So so he walked over to the table to fill out a form, and then the seat in front of him was open, and so I also kind of followed him there with my little form too. There is a divider, but I just kind of peeked over and was like, hey, like, did you bring like this photo or whatever? Basically, I just tried to make some small talk because I was like, oh, I really, you know, he seems nice, I want to make a friend. Anyway, there was a small conversation, and then I did stuff there, and then maybe 45 minutes later or so, I walk back out. Guess who's there?
Who?
The guy.
Who?
The guy. Turns out his name was Dion. Great guy. And we just get to talking, and I'm so excited, one, to even be speaking English again, because I was just like speaking Chinese all the time, speaking bad Chinese, right?
Oh my gosh.
So I was speaking English to him, and we exchanged lines, and I was like, great, well, you know, like, it'd be cool if we hang out sometime. And he said, yo, actually, like, I'm waiting on an Uber right now to go to a karaoke party. You want to come?
Oh my gosh. Okay, real quick, like, every time I hear this story, like, I'm like, Eileen, what if Dion was a murderer? Or what if this man, like, she was so trusting and willing to just go into an Uber with this random guy that she just met. Like, I'm like, Eileen, but I'm so glad you took that risk, because continue.
Yeah. So, but as Colleen says, I freaking took the risk. I was like, bet. I'm down, actually. So within like kind of, I guess, an hour of meeting this person, and I spoke maybe a few sentences with him, I was in an Uber driving to some undisclosed place, and when I got there, it was a karaoke place, and I walk out. Of course, I'm kind of nervous because, I mean, again, I didn't even plan to be at the agency that day, and then now I'm going out to this really nice like karaoke thing. And by the way, everyone who doesn't know,
nice.
Yeah, KTV in Taiwan is like top tier. Anyway,
it's amazing.
Yes. So fast forwarding, I think that Dion was even like texting his friends like, oh, by the way, I'm just gonna bring some random person too, so this is super spontaneous. Anyway, I get there and I actually meet your sister first.
Yes.
Lorraine, yeah.
My sister, Lorraine.
Lorraine.
She's the one that greeted you guys. She was the one in contact with Dion this whole time.
Yeah. So I saw her first, and then I saw Colleen kind of briefly with like some food tray. There was like a cafe, really nice cafe food area downstairs. And I'm just kind of nervous and like, and then next thing I know, I'm in the karaoke room.
Crazy.
And I see this girl singing. But
me
guys. So I went from the immigration agency meeting this guy named Dion to tagging along with him to this party, and now I'm in a karaoke room. Colleen, how did you get to that karaoke room that day? What brought you there?
Oof. Okay, so just like Eileen, she was also like, when she first immigrated to Taiwan, she was kind of also in like just not in the best state of mind, especially when you move into a new country, right? So that was the same for me too. I did know a couple people here in Taiwan already, and the week before the KTV party, they invite themselves over to our house to have like a board game night, and they bring with them this guy. And when I first meet this guy, I'm like, dude, what is with him? Like, he grew up in Beijing, and so his Chinese has a thick Beijing accent, but he obviously went to an American school in Beijing, but he's currently going to school in Georgia, well, like the countryside, right? And so his English has a Georgian accent and his Chinese has a Beijing accent. I'm like, okay, who is this kid? But like, he was cool. I was like, all right, like whatever. And we were like planning for a karaoke like party the next week, and we kind of invite him out of pity.
Oh my god, Dion! Like Dion's listening to this right now, like, wow.
He's like, okay. Jokes aside,
basically, you barely knew him. You didn't really know.
I barely knew him. Yeah. I barely knew him, and I was like, okay, like, yeah. Do you want to come to the karaoke party next week? He's like, yeah, sure. The day of the karaoke party happened, and I don't know what. I think I went to like some. Anyways, not important, but. I was really tired that day, and I was this close to canceling, and my sister wasn't even gonna go. And I kind of like, for me and my sister, she's kind of the outgoing one, I'm kind of the shy one. So I'm like, Lorraine, please just come, like I'll pay for your karaoke, just come with us. And so I had to beg her to come because I was like, yeah. And then so we end up going to the karaoke party, and I'm like I said, I'm tired. I also get really anxious and nervous when I meet new people. So when I first saw Eileen, I was like, this guy just met her at the NIA, and now he's bringing her over. I was like, these two people are so interesting, right? 'Cause like I said, this is my second time seeing Dion, my first time seeing Eileen, and I'm like, she just went in an Uber ride with a stranger. Those were my thoughts when I first saw them. And I, like Eileen said, I was holding my tray, and like I quickly say hi to them, and I ran into the kitchen, and I was like, because they were like, yeah, like she's from Hawaii, and I was like, she must be so cool. Like in my head, right? Like I was getting insecure, I was getting nervous. I was like, she's so cool. She's from Hawaii, and she was so cute with her little mask on, and she was like, I was like, like whatever, right? So obviously I was nervous and I was anxious. But then when she came back into the karaoke room, like. She like took off her mask and she was so cute. She's just eating her food. And it's awkward because like in karaoke you have to 点歌, right? Like you have to like choose your songs. And like all my songs were in the front. So I was just on there was a stage. And I was just on the stage performing for these people.
Yes, yeah.
Felt like I was like one of those call girls or show girls, I'm like,
yeah,
welcome
the paid entertainment. Yeah,
exactly, paid entertainment. And they were so nice. They like clap for me every time I sing a song, but I was like, oh my god, this is so awkward. But what really brought our bond stronger together was they're like, oh, let's pick some English songs, right? Because like obviously Eileen and Dion didn't really know any Chinese songs. So I picked a song, and let's just say that song changed our life forever, because I chose Carly Rae Jepsen's Call Me Maybe. And the moment that song starts, Eileen starts going off, you guys. She's like,
But not
she's
just
like in
me.
her
But not just me.
Right.
It was Colleen. Not to cut. I'm sorry, not to cut you off. But
No.
let's say
No.
so. Colleen is talking about herself performing as if like she was. It was awkward. Absolutely not. Like the moment I walked into that room, the vibe was impeccable. Solely because of her. Like no shade on the other people, no shade on them, but I'm just saying that my
Right.
girl knew how to throw a party. Okay, like she knows, she was giving it, she was living it, and there was a nice stage there. It wasn't like Colleen put it in the song and then Eileen was like, ooh. No, it was both of us, one heartbeat, one moment,
one heartbeat,
One moment, one body.
one covenant. I don't know, just like yeah.
that was us. That was us. But no, so yeah, so like Eileen was saying, anyways, the song goes off and I'm on the stage because I was already like previously singing my other song, and she starts dancing and this girl got all the moves going. She's got all the body rolls and shit. I was like, I kind of looked at her, I was like, she dope. Like she dope.
shit.
Like that was like literally my first impression. We pulled her, they pushed her and I pulled her right
Oh my God.
on stage with me, and I was like, dance with me, my love. I'm just-
Oh.
but that,
No, guys, she
that-
actually
it kinda felt
screamed
like,
that. She screamed
dance with me, my love.
in a British accent.
Exactly. And that is when we started doing the shimmies.
Oh,
These
yeah.
things.
Mm.
You remember that?
Now I do.
And we were really feeling ourselves. And that was the moment I knew, like, I got a friend for life. Like,
Whoa.
this type of girl, I don't know. Like, I just feel like our energies match. Like, one
yeah.
one body.
One body.
We were like slowly, like when I first met you, right? It was kind of like, yeah, but then it was like a slow build up for us to slowly like.
It wasn't
Become
actually
one.
like you were shimmying and I was shimmying. It was one shimmy. It was just one wave.
It was this, yeah. It was beautiful. It was
Yeah.
beautiful how we met.
Yeah, that was gorgeous. And like, and for me too, like I think like Colleen and I, you know, we're fun people. We have those edges. We're great to be around. But for me, like at every karaoke that I've ever gone to, I'm usually the one that like, you know, I'm trying to raise the roof. I'm trying to set the mood right. I'm trying to include people and or make them feel better. Karaoke can be a place where people feel a little insecure, feel like they don't want to sing. Totally respect that. But I mean, from the moment I walked in, yeah, Colleen was singing and she was raising the roof, and I felt that energy too. She was bringing people in. She was encouraging people to my Doja Cat glasses fell. Encouraging people to sing. She was passing the mic. There was that warmth, you know. And I had just met this girl. To be honest, I was very overwhelmed. A lot of new people for me, but she instantly made me feel welcome. Like I had no qualms being one shimmy with her. Like it was fate. It was fate, and
It was fate.
the amount of things that had to work out to bring us both in that room.
For real.
That's crazy.
For real.
It's crazy.
Like, it's so scary to me to think that if, for example, Eileen didn't go to the NIA that day, or Dion didn't even go, or I decided to cancel on that karaoke party, or I was just not feeling it, you know, and I was like, I don't want to go. But like everything lined up, like the stars aligned. And because of that day, this podcast is possible.
Yeah.
Like, it's so crazy. Like, sometimes I'm showering and I think about this and I start
Yeah, me too. Like,
crying.
and
I don't cry, but I'm like,
you can tell me, and everyone listening, you can no, but it's crazy. We've talked about this so many times, and the story, it never gets old. It's great. It's timeless. It's a once in a lifetime kind of special moment.
it really is.
We're not really going into it so much right now, but in between the time of like that karaoke day and now, we're like months of us just like getting so close. Like our vibes were great, obviously from the get-go. We became very fast friends.
Yeah.
And it's that night and also everything in between which just kind of led us to make this podcast.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
Exactly.
kind of like touching back. So what happened in between those like months? We kind of talked about a little bit in our intro too, like why we wanted to make a podcast. One of the themes that we discovered together is anime, actually.
Yes. So, this is how this kind of all started. Because Eileen, moved back to Hawaii. I'm still in Taiwan. We still catch up with each other on like FaceTime each other every week. And she is the sole reason why I am an anime lover to this day. Actually, I should backtrack a little bit. When I first came to Taiwan, I was like not into anime. But when I first met Eileen, she's like, "Yeah, I love anime," and I was like, "Oh, okay, cool." In my head, right?
Blocked,
I'm like, okay,
canceled. She's like,
no. In order for me to keep this friendship consistent and continuous, I gotta start me some anime. Because I think you said something like, "Oh yeah, like in the past, like I'm only friends with anime watchers," and I was like,
I think I did
I
say
want to be
that.
a friend still. Yeah, you said that on the first day I met you.
Like,
and I
not
was
in
like,
not in a
oh.
mean way, like in the nicest way possible. But I'm like, oh.
Yeah. Yeah, it was in a way where I think she's like hinting at me that I had to start watching it.
I wasn't,
anyways,
but okay. I'm glad you did.
I felt it. I felt that glare, Eileen.
Okay.
You're like, but and then so at the time, Demon Slayer was really popular in Taiwan. So I was already starting it, but I wasn't like into it. So I was like, you know what? Because Eileen's like such an anime lover, like I want to start anime too. So we started watching animes. She gave me a lot of good recommendations. And because of that, like I started watching a lot of anime and I just got so inspired by some of the stories, some of the characters. And so fast forward to, like I said, we would call each other every week after she moved back to her home. And we were talking, I think we were discussing like Attack on Titan. We literally had like a 2-hour discussion on
Levi
Attack on Titan.
specifically and Erwin Smith
Levi,
specifically, but
the
Attack on
sexiest
Titan.
motherfuckers in
Alright.
the world. Okay, sorry.
Okay, yeah.
Don't make me start drooling on this podcast.
Baby, this is
Eileen.
Thirsty Leo season. You can do exactly that.
You're right. You're right. I'm gonna start some drooling, but that's later on in the
That's later on.
episodes. And then we had like a 2-hour discussion about just like the concepts, like the what's that word? Like the intricacy of this like script and stuff. And then after I end the call, my sister's like obviously listening on the side and she's like kind of looking at us weird, funny, because we've been talking about Attack on Titan for 2 hours straight. She's like, you know what? Like you and Eileen should start a podcast just like talking about anime. Hit up to Eileen the next day. I was like, hey, like what if we started a podcast? And the thing I love about Eileen so much is because she's just down. Like the moment I brought it up, she's like, let's do it. And literally, guys, that was like a month ago. And we've been having meetings twice a week. We've been really preparing for this to happen. And I'm just so glad. I'm just going to bring this back up again. Like, I'm so glad Eileen is the one I'm starting a podcast with, because with her, I can feel so comfortable in talking. And it's like such a safe place. You know what I mean? And yeah, so this podcast will mainly be about anime and just how it has inspired both of us. Like, I'm a new anime watcher. Eileen, how long have you been watching anime for?
Since I was born. No, I sorry.
In the fetus, in the little womb.
There was I was born in '98, so by then actually a lot of the big banger ones are already out. So like,
Right.
gang. Okay, no. Weird weeb moment. Okay. And I was like, actually no. I've been watching it since middle school. A little bit into elementary, but I didn't start as young as a lot of them. But yeah, I'm a longtime anime watcher. Colleen is a new one, and like when we were talking about those intense discussions that we'd have, like since I've been watching it for so long, sometimes if any anime watcher that's kind of a veteran on here knows, you kind of see the certain tropes going on, you know the certain characters that are happening, you kind of get a good pacing for how shonens or shoujos or whatever it goes. But seeing these new series and these ideas and stuff through Colleen's eyes and seeing how she would get inspired by Haikyuu and how she would there would be so much intensity in Attack on Titan and Promised Neverland, which by the way were like her first animes. Like she went from Demon Slayer to like Promised Neverland and then Attack on Titan. Like it was very intense. You know, I'm like, hey, babe, you want to try a slice of life? But
No, give me the intense ones.
Yeah, I really saw something that I loved so much and something I grew up with through her eyes, and it was really nice. And our discussions were so fun. Colleen, like as she was saying, she's so kind, and she says that we have great discussions and it's kind of a safe space. I feel the same way. Like Colleen has always been so supportive and so encouraging of me, and it's from everything in our friendship to even our creative lives, kind of moving away from the anime topic. But you know, we both are online creators. Like I draw art. Colleen is on YouTube. and there's also a whole story to what actually brought us inside Taiwan. You know, there were dreams that we were trying to chase. That there were goals that
Yeah.
we had. That we had so much in common, and there was just such a genuine sisterhood and best friendship. It was everything that brought us together, and
Everything.
everything. You know,
Everything.
and
Yeah.
and that's a little bit of what we want to share in this podcast.
Yeah.
So
I think that's so good. You
Yeah.
said it so well, Eileen. Ugh. Ugh.
but yeah, so kind of like going forward, like what is this podcast gonna look like? So it's gonna be maybe some anime discussions. There's lots of animes that we want to go into together, you know, things maybe to rewatch together.
Yeah.
And of course it's called Thirsty Leo season for a reason. I'm a thirst artist. Part of my joy is also showing my best friend the thirst ways.
Yes, I do want to say Eileen is the one that got me into 2D Men. For those of you guys who know, you know. If you know, you know.
You know.
You know what I mean? If you know,
If you don't know,
Uh.
don't listen to this pod. No, I'm kidding. No. There's the door.
No, but there's way more. We're not just talking about anime thirst. I feel like we are also talking about our lives and the deep discussions that we have about it. There are times when I'll call Eileen up when I'm going through something, and she'll call me up when she's going through something. And the insights we have on each other's lives is so, like, it's so cool to see, like, two people's perspectives on something.
Yeah.
Does that sound okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
like when we talk about like for example, when I bring a problem to the table, like the way she hypes me up, the way she encourages me is so different than how I would have encouraged myself, because obviously, like, she's an outside perspective looking at me, and she's like, wait, but like, you're talented too. And I'm like sometimes I forget that in the midst of my own insecurities and in the midst of my own struggles and difficulties. And so it's so cool to like hear two different perspectives on problems and the way we can go from it and learn from it. And like, we just wanted to share that with you guys.
Everyone's going through something similar. Everybody has their uphill battles, their passions, their
Yeah.
dreams, something that they're working on. Colleen and I, there's so much that we share in common. There's also so much that we learn from each other. There's so much perspective that we have to share. Colleen's talked a lot about how I've inspired her, but like I really want to mention that, like, when I came to Taiwan, very sad of course, but also creatively I was trying to find myself. But Colleen, like, I just saw how fearless she was. Like if she wanted to do a YouTube video, there didn't seem to be that sense of self-doubt. Maybe, I'm sure, not to say that she doesn't have any struggles, but it's just, I was like, wow, she wants to do a TikTok. She wants to do this dance, or she wants to do this whatever. And she just does it. And and like, I would just show her my little rinky dinky, like I would just make random videos. And she was just so genuinely, no, but she was just genuinely like, you should post this. But for me, I was just like, oh, but it's not perfect. It's not whatever. But she's like, you should post it. And like, I'm like, wow, like I know that she would never lie to me about something like that. You know, it's not just like a false kind of like, hashtag girl boss. No, it's really like
you should post it and embarrass yourself. Just can you imagine my whole life? That's just what I've been doing for this moment.
We're gonna have one
joking. I
podcast
love
episode. It's gonna be the next one where you're like, actually, like, okay, guys, this is actually a critique on everything that Eileen said. I'm like, okay, and then I pull up my list, and it's just a roast. No, like, it's she's given me so much more confidence in like how I naturally am and how I naturally can be, and I've been able to just mirror a little bit of that honesty and support and encouragement her way. And like, hey, also, you're listening right now, and you're also kind of part of this mirror now, so you know.
Yeah, where it's a like those mirror rooms, or we're just all looking at each other
like in a haunted house,
multiply.
like no, you know.
Ooh, that's
You know
kind of
this?
scary. I know what you're talking about.
Okay.
I know what you're talking about. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then other than that, we're also going to be talking about like Asian American culture. You know, for us, when we, just like Eileen said, when we first went to Taiwan, it was rough.
Yeah.
It was rough for us. The culture shock that we faced was something that I, as someone that came back to Taiwan every year, I didn't even imagine I was going to be facing.
Yeah.
And yet when I moved here, it was so difficult for me to even step outside of my own home.
Yeah.
And so I think we're also going to be discussing about just like struggles in life, you guys. Like, I'm sure everyone has them. I'm sure everyone goes through rough patches in their life. And I'm just so grateful that we had each other during that time. And now we just want to share that with the world, like saying, like, hey, if you're struggling or if you're going through the same thing as we are, we're here for you guys. This is a podcast. This is a best friend podcast. We want to share this friendship with you guys as well.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's kind of going back to our intro, right? We have anime, we have thirst, we have being content creators, we have even just being Asian American women. So many of our perspectives, so many of the things that are inherently vibrant and very living in what we do and in our work and how we talk come from the perspective of being women and being Asian American women. And there's so many, concepts, facets to that. Asian American culture, language, struggling in general, we're both kind of in the millennial, Gen Z, this kind of era as well.
Right.
So
where I think we're still trying to navigate ourselves through our lives. We're trying to find that factor of what makes us who we are.
Yeah.
And yeah. Oh, that was in sync.
Oh, we both said yeah. Did we harmonize?
Yeah. And
yeah. But yes, Colleen, do you have anything else you want to share with our friends?
No, I think we just want to thank you guys for listening to our first podcast. We just wanted to let you guys know who we are, how we met, and a feel for how this podcast is going to be like.
Yes, and there's a lot in store. There's, again, anime, thirst, content creating, being Asian American woman, and literally everything else in between. And going forward, we invite you to join us on this journey. Remember to stay hydrated and
drink water,
thirsties, and we'll see you in the next episode.
See you guys.
See you.
Bye.
Bye.